There is a version of Mauricio Umansky that the show built very carefully over 14 years. He was the handsome, successful real estate broker who adored his wife. He called Kyle his rock. He danced with her daughters at family gatherings that were filmed by Bravo cameras. He sat next to her at reunions, held her hand through difficult moments, and presented himself as the kind of husband who was almost too good to be true. He was almost too good to be true because the version the show was selling and the version that has emerged through years of rumors, documented lawsuits, and the slow unraveling of the marriage on camera are two very different people. And the gap between them is exactly what we are going to examine today. This is not a story about cheating rumors that were never confirmed. It is a story about a pattern, one that stretches across 15 years of television, multiple women, documented legal controversies, and a response to his wife's public heartbreak that was so perfectly dismissive it became its own kind of answer. The first time Mauricio's faithfulness was questioned on camera, it was season 1 of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Season 1. Before the show had even established itself, before anyone knew what the franchise would become, Camille Grammer, in a confessional that fans have referenced ever since, dropped a comment that Mauricio likes his flings and his nannies. It was casual. It was delivered the way someone mentions something they consider commonly known. It was enough to send Kyle Richards into near meltdown mode because it came with a specificity that generic gossip usually does not have. Flings and nannies. Not just I've heard things, a category, a type. Kyle would spend the next decade and a half defending him against that category. By season 4, the cheating rumors had moved from confessional whispers into tabloid headlines. Kyle addressed them on camera. She defended him. You know that I would never want to do or anything on purpose that would hurt you or the kids. I really am sorry for, hurting you. I would never want to hurt you on purpose. He told her privately that they could not care, that they knew the truth, and that she should not let it in. She admitted years later that there was always a small voice in her head saying, "But what if it is true?" In season 4, Kyle almost quit the show entirely. The Daily Mail has reported that she came close to walking away because the cheating rumors being circulated on and off camera were becoming too much to manage publicly. She stayed. She kept defending. The show kept filming. In 2013, Lisa Vanderpump and Brandi Glenville were filmed in a scene that Kyle perceived as deliberately amplifying the cheating narrative, casting doubt on her husband's fidelity while maintaining deniability. Kyle's response to that scene was to write about it in her Bravo blog, pointing out that Lisa had watched Ken Todd defend Mauricio while she, Lisa, had not. The gap between what was said and what was implied had been crystal clear to Kyle even then. She just kept defending him. Anyway, in the season 13 finale of RHOBH, Kyle sat down with Erika Jayne and broke down about the state of her marriage. She said that there was not one big event, that the marriage had problems she had been needing more from for a long time, and that she did not want to say it was about another person. She was specific about that, not about another person. But then came the confessional that changed everything. I've come to realize that, there's a big chance that we're not going to end up together. What is the issue that the two of you can't let go of? There were things that happened that made me lose my trust. I wasn't able to recover from. That is a direct quote. She said it looking at the camera. She said it on a nationally broadcast television program that airs on Bravo. She did not say there were misunderstandings. She did not say they had grown apart. She said things happened. Trust was lost. She could not recover, and that was the end. At the season 13 reunion, Andy Cohen pushed further. He pointed out that the cheating rumors had been present since season 4 and asked whether those years of rumors had eroded her trust. Kyle confirmed that yes, they had chipped away at her. She had felt insecure. The little voice had been there. Erika Jayne, who knows something about a husband's secret life, called it a campaign of whispers. And Kyle confirmed that she had not been able to ignore the whispers anymore. There was a moment where she lost trust. There were things that happened that made me lose my trust. I wasn't able to recover from. Do you know what that moment is? I don't know what that is. He did not say she was wrong. He did not say there was nothing to find. He said he did not know what she was referring to, which is either a genuine statement of confusion from a faithful husband, or it is the most carefully constructed non-denial in Real Housewives history. When Sutton Straw pushed further in season 14, pointing out that Kyle herself had once brought up Instagram DMs and whether texting could be considered infidelity, Kyle tried to walk it back, but Sutton had remembered. She said on camera, "I remember we talked about how is it infidelity if you text someone on Instagram." That conversation had happened. Kyle had raised it. And she had raised it in a way that suggested she was working through exactly where a line she had personal experience with was drawn. Garcelle Beauve said it plainly in a confessional. "We have been hearing rumors for years that either Mo has stepped out or is doing this or is doing that. Nobody has confirmation. Confirmation is a high bar. What exists below confirmation is a 15-year pattern that every single person in this woman's social circle was aware of in the fall of 2023. 2 months after the separation had been announced, Mauricio joined Dancing with the Stars season 32. His partner was Emma Slater, a professional dancer who had recently separated from her own husband, fellow DWTS pro Sasha Farber. Before his first performance, Mauricio was asked to select his most memorable year for the show's signature segment. He chose 1996, the year he married Kyle Richards, while still legally married to Kyle Richards while separated. While the separation was actively being filmed for RHOBH season 14, chose their wedding year as his most meaningful personal memory for a national dance competition, and then was photographed holding hands with his dance partner outside a restaurant. Kyle found out about those photographs the way anyone finds out about something devastating publicly. She appeared on Watch What Happens Live. Mo holding hands with his Dancing with the Stars partner. What was your reaction to that? I was taken aback. I upset it. Upset? Yes. That was very hard to see. Yeah, yes. That hurt my feelings. Do you think something's going on there? Holding hands like that. Sutton Strachey subsequently revealed on season 14 that Mauricio had made a change inside the home he and Kyle still shared. In his home office where he worked daily, there had been an 8x10 photograph of him and Kyle, a framed photo of them kissing. He removed it. He replaced it with a photo of himself and Emma Slater. Kathy Hilton's response on camera was, "It would be one thing to take it down, but to then put that up. Come on." In March 2024, Mauricio told USA Today, "I have not been running around dating. I am not interested in being a playboy. One of these days, I'm going to start dating. I can tell you that for sure." 3 months later, in July 2024, he was photographed kissing Nikita Khan, a film producer at the Mkoos airport in Greece. 2 days after those photos landed, he was photographed getting close to her again at Scorpio's Beach Club, also in Mykonos. He had started dating publicly on a Greek island while still legally married. Since the separation became public in July 2023, the documented list of women Mauricio Umansky has been linked to is not a tabloid rumor. It is a timeline with names and photographs. Fall 2023, Emma Slater, DWTS partner, hand-holding confirmed. Romance denied. November 2023, a mystery blonde woman in Austin, Texas, photographed together. December 2023, Alexandria Wolf, an influencer, spotted at dinner in Aspen. No comment from either. He also partied in Aspen that winter with singer Anita and influencer Lele Pon. July 2024. Nikita Khan, film producer, kissing at an airport in Mykonos, then photographed at a beach club 2 days later. This was after he had told USA. Today, he was not running around dating. December 2024. Claudia Kay, a model in her early 30s, photographed kissing in Aspen. They went shopping at Kaimo Sab, Kyle's favorite Western apparel store in Aspen, then a sushi dinner at Matsuhisa, a source told US Weekly at this point. He is dating around and is having fun. He's a happy-go-lucky kind of guy and can't sit still when it comes to dating and traveling right now. He likes his freedom. Mauricio doesn't want anything serious. November 2025. C.J. Franco, a reality star from F-Boy Island, photographed getting close and flirtatious with Mauricio outside Craig's in West Hollywood. April 2026, TMZ reported Mauricio leaving the Sunset Towers Hotel in Los Angeles with Destiny Herzog, a 24-year-old who appeared on Love Island USA Season 6. The two were seen driving away together, smiling and laughing. That is 8 documented connections in roughly 30 months while still legally married to Kyle Richards. Meanwhile, on season 14 of RHOBH, Mauricio appeared in a film scene in which Kyle met him for lunch during the separation. He stood up from the table, modeled his new clothes, and announced himself as Single Mao. Then he apologized in a separate filmed moment, saying, obviously the Mykonos, I got photographed, in the airport. You know that I would never want to do or anything on purpose that would hurt you or the kids. I really am sorry for, hurting you. I would never want to hurt you on purpose. Which suggests he understood that something had been hurtful. He just did not say what. The personal behavior is one thing. The professional record is a separate chapter, and it is one that received far less attention than the marriage drama despite involving considerably more documented specifics. In 2019, Mauricio Umansky and the agency were sued for fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and intentional misrepresentation in the sale of a $32.5 million Malibu mansion. The plaintiff, a company called Sweetwater Malibu LLC, representing a foreign government official required to sell the property under a U.S. Department of Justice agreement, alleged that Umansky had manipulated the sale to benefit another client of his. The lawsuit alleged that Umansky withheld higher offers in order to steer the property to a buyer named Mauricio Oberfeld, a separate client of the agency, at a below-market price. That buyer purchased it for $32.5 million. 1 year later, he sold it for $69.9 million, roughly double. The lawsuit used language that is worth reading directly. It stated that the defendants violated their duties by engaging in what it called blatant acts of self-dealing, earning secret profits, and both failing to disclose and outright misrepresenting material facts. Blatant acts of self-dealing, secret profits, outright misrepresentation. This is a legal filing, not a tabloid. The case was privately settled in 2020, meaning no verdict was issued, but the settlement happened and the terms were never disclosed. Then came the co-era allegations. During the pandemic, the agency applied for and received $3.5 million in Payroll Protection Program loans, government money designed to help struggling businesses avoid laying off workers. A whistleblower entity subsequently filed a federal lawsuit claiming that the agency had no genuine need for those loans because during the same period, the company's annual real estate sales had increased dramatically from $6 billion before the pandemic to $11.2 billion by the end of 2021. The lawsuit's description of the conduct: this is a case about greed during a national health emergency. It argued that Umansky and his business partner William Rose, who between them owned tens of millions of dollars of real estate, had sought taxpayer-backed funds they did not need, while legitimate small businesses were unable to access that same money. The case was ultimately dismissed in 2025 by a federal judge who found insufficient evidence that false information had been submitted. Mauricio's team called the claims absurd and unfounded, but the lawsuit existed. The allegations were filed in a federal court. The whistleblower's description of the conduct greed during a national health emergency is now part of the public record regardless of the outcome. On top of this, as of January 2025, Mauricio had accrued $51,532.60 in IRS liens for unpaid taxes across multiple agency offices. These were filed in December 2024 against his Beverly Hills office and other locations covered under the agency and UMRO Really Group. His Netflix show Buying Beverly Hills, the family business vehicle that put his daughters on camera alongside him and presented the agency as a dynasty, was canceled in August 2024 after 2 seasons. Low viewership numbers relative to production costs. And while all of this was unfolding, he purchased a luxury condo in West Hollywood in the same building where Matt Damon owns a unit, which is a specific kind of divorced man real estate choice. The purchase was confirmed in May 2024, made while the IRS line filings were accumulating and the PPP lawsuit was active. The most revealing thing about Mauricio Umansky's story is not what has been confirmed. It is what Kyle has consistently stopped just short of saying. She said things happened. She said she lost trust. She said the rumors chipped away at her. She said she would have never let him do Dancing with the Stars if their marriage had been in a good place. She said she did not want to talk about what the real reason was because some things are not up for grabs. She stopped short every time in season 14 when Sudenstra was asking the direct questions Kyle would not answer. Garcelle gave the clearest summary anyone on the show ever provided. Been hearing rumors for years. Nobody has confirmation. Lisa Vanderpump went on the Call Her Daddy podcast in May 2024. I'm like, if you snore one more time, I'm going to put the pillow over your head. You know what I mean? Like, you've got a choice here. Is this spare pillow was divorce? You know what I mean? But it's like then suddenly they get divorced, but they being saying, oh, love be my king or my this or my that. Life's not like that. You've got two imperfect people living together that it's not, and that's, and then on the reality show, suddenly, how many times have you seen this? Especially on that show that I used to be on. How many times everything's just going, gosh, just fine? And then, oh, we're getting a divorce. Kyle had publicly called Mauricio her love bean for years. Lisa denied she was talking about them. Kyle did not believe her and threatened to discuss Lisa's own backyard if it continued. What the full picture of Mauricio Umansky reveals is a man who built a public identity out of his wife's television platform, used it to launch his own Netflix show, called her his rock while the marriage was reportedly already broken, posed for his most memorable year dance around the year, they married while holding hands with his dance partner off the floor, replaced her photograph in their shared home with one of that partner, then moved into a luxury condo, started photographically dating his way through a succession of younger women while still married. Listen when his wife cried on television about things that happened that made her lose trust, told the world directly that he did not know what that was. He does not know what that is. That is the evil side of Mauricio Umansky. The charming husband, the most memorable year dancer, the man who said, I don't know what that is, while his wife cried about losing her trust. From season 1 fling rumors to a dating parade across 3 continents, the gap between the performance and the reality is the whole story.